Welcome to the Academic Framework, Module 1B. Our topic for today is genre, response text. But where does this fit in our ELL framework for academic literacy? Let's take a look at our house graphic and find out. The foundational piece is always getting to know our students, their home language, their prior schooling, their experiences. And we build on that with background knowledge and vocabulary instruction. Oral language is also very important as a foundational piece. Then we have our pillars: register, grammar, and genre. And finally, no house is complete without a roof: assessment. Before beginning any lesson sequence with your students, you might want to consider posting or reading out or talking about your learning intentions. For ELLs, we like to put those into two categories: the content or competency goals and the language goals. Here is an example of a response text. Please take a moment now to read the sample text and try to determine the parts of the text. Here's a hint. The text structure is located on the left-hand side of the slide. Now that you've had a chance to look at the text, let's talk about how you might use this in your classroom. Using the I do, we do, you do model of instruction, you might choose to point out the text structure to your class in a teacher-led lesson. Or you might cut up the parts and then ask the kids to arrange them in an order that makes sense to them. Alternatively, they could match the text structure to the sample text. No matter how you choose to do it, your students will surely have fun identifying the parts of the text, and then you can move on to the next step, the you do portion of the lesson. Now that students had a basic understanding of response text, we can move on to actually looking at a text to respond to. We had students look at the text, "Peace begins with you," and they filled in the viewing guide below. As a class, we have deconstructed a response text, and we have watched a text called "Peace Begins with Me," as well as filled in a viewing guide for it. Now your class might be ready to move on to the we do portion of the lesson. As a class, you might fill in a graphic organizer such as the one on the slide, responding to the text. Or if you feel your class is ready, they might do it in partners. This would be an ideal time to circulate and collect some formative assessment evidence. As you work on response text with your students, don't forget some of the grammatical considerations that typically occur in this kind of text. Usually, we have past tense about what was watched, viewed, or attended, present tense about the actual text. We have time and sequence connectors, and often we have modals as well. Your students may now be ready for the you do portion of the lesson sequence. If they are not ready, feel free to go back to some of the previous lessons, perhaps using a different text. Your task will now be to create a response text about the presentation that you've just viewed. Feel free to pause the video and give it a try if you'd like. Your students might want to write about an event that they've all attended, like the Remembrance Day Assembly, or perhaps about a movie that they've all viewed. No matter what you choose, we hope that you and your students have fun playing with response text.